This is the M6 YOH, a Tier 10 American Tech Tree auto-reloading heavy. A vehicle that's mainly relevant for its hold-down capabilities and the two deadly guns that it carries. And speaking of the guns, if we take a look at the first one, it has a 3-shell magazine clip that has 3.1 seconds of aiming time with 0.273 dispersion, combined with DPM factors of 2,996 with a 13.02 second reload time for all 3 shells in the clip, along with a 2.5 second intra-clip between shells in the magazine. And then for the average penetration factors, 279 on the standard, 373 on the premium, and 65 on the high explosive, combined as well with average damage being of 300 on the standard, 260 on the premium, and 350 on the high explosive. For the second gun, however, it is brought down to only 2 shells in the magazine, but it has slightly better alpha and slightly worse pen at that too. So the aiming time and dispersion is also a little worse at 3.8 seconds of aiming time with 0.312 dispersion. DPM factors and the magazine reload time are slightly worse on this thing too at 2,467 DPM with a 20.18 second reload time. However, the shell magazine reload between the intra clips is much faster than what it is for the triple shooter. But thankfully enough, this vehicle does carry shell reload boost, so you're able to reduce the amount of time to reload the intra clip in the magazine. So, once we go ahead and go back into the second gun, you can see that it's slightly worse pen at 272 on the standard, 362 on the premium, and 65 on the high explosive, combined as well with the average damage being a 450 on the standard, 380 on the premium, and 515 on the high explosive. So for the purpose of today's video, we are going to be comparing both of these guns and seeing if one is more beneficial to run over the other, or if it's just upon personal preference at this point. Along with the individual stats of the M6 YOH, it has 200 millimeters thickness on the front of its turret and 175 millimeters on the front of its hull. And this is what the current armor profile looks like on the YOH. You can see that there's a lot of troll spots that occur on the vehicle, but there's also some spots that are also vulnerable to standard and premium ammunitions for the majority of vehicles that fire in on this thing. Like this upper plate right here, that's upwards of about 240. It's like the full-on center that's easily able to be overmatched. And then you got a big chunker of the lower plate, upwards of 123 to 124. There's 2 cheeks that occur on the side of the turret right here that are upwards of 230 millimeters thick. And then the thing that kind of bums me out, this vehicle has 2 very giant hatches that occur on the vehicle, which can be easily overmatched for like any form of guns, whether they have like the best aiming time or if they have like the worst aiming time. The hatches are still going to be vulnerable to any forms of weaponry for that matter that try to overmatch it. This vehicle also carries 10 degrees of gun depression. It does make slight bit of a difference, but you can see the hatches are still going to be exposed. So whether this thing is using hold down capabilities or not is where you're going to have no trouble at all trying to cut through the hatches. However, for the cheeks, on the other hand, they are thickened now to a point where it becomes an auto ricochet at above 250 millimeters thick, in order to where you would have to run heats in order to cut through those cheeks. Even when running calibrated shells, it doesn't really make much of the slightest bit of the difference, but there's 2 cheeks right here that you can overmatch if you're lucky enough, upwards of 309, and then 2 smaller cheeks right here that are going to be a little bit of a tricky time trying to hit, upwards of 336, and the same accounts for this side too. And then making our way towards the side of the vehicle, the side of the turret is upwards of 118 to 114, and then the full-on sign is upwards of 65 to 66. And then making our way towards the rear of the vehicle, the back of the turret is only 51, and then the full-on rear and the engine deck is only 42. With HEs, there's going to be a slight percent chance to where you can cut through the back of the turret right here, varying on if you have enough penetration factors for the AG in order to cut through the back of the turret. But no matter what, the engine deck is going to be overmatched quite easily. And then finally, for maneuverability-wise, the tank goes at a top speed of 35 with a reverse of 15 and a pretty solid power to weight of 15.5 along with that. This vehicle also carries the emergency track mechanic, so when one of your tracks is destroyed, you're still able to back up at a certain speed. Maybe, I think it was 5 kilometers per hour at that. Oh, 7 kilometers per hour for this thing. All right. So let's go ahead and demonstrate some bits of gameplay with both of the guns. We are going to be doing 1 game each for this video. Surprisingly enough, I do not have as much time as possible to record 2 bits of gameplay, but let's just go ahead and see the gameplay for the first gun, aka the 3-shell auto-reloading magazine, with better DPM factors, slightly better penetration, but a worse magazine intra-clip reload time. And here we are loaded into battle number 1. Let's see what they got in terms of their heavies. Then IS-7, they have a Stritz Von K and a Super Conk. Alright, so a pretty solid hold down vehicle at that, or 2 of them, I should say, but we also have an MM player on our team that is in the 183, surprisingly enough. So let's go ahead and mosey on through to the spot that I like to use my hold down capabilities to the best of my ability right over here. There is the Super Conk already spotted off towards the side. There's 1 tap into his vehicle. We're going to activate our shell reload. Then get 2 shells into him and get the 3rd shells, and that is an automatic 900 damage, which cost him the remainder of his hit points. Unfortunately, that Super Conk made a very dire mistake pointing his tank out in the open like that. And yeah, that didn't really turn out as expected upon his behalf. We also got these 2.6A version 4 off to the side. Not able to get a slap into him at the moment, so let's see what else that they got. That's probably going to mosey on up through over here. It looks like that he might poke again, which he is. Alright, let's go ahead and reload the heat. We're going to overmatch the side of his vehicle right there. Let's get a 2nd shell into him. He does hit us for 632, but that is completely fine. We also got the YAG off in the back. Let's go ahead and bounce the shell, unfortunately enough. So, that's totally fine. At least we managed to get 2 solid shells into that 2.6A version 4 at that. So we're reloading our clip once again. We all got the YAG spotted in the back. Let's see if we can get a tap into him. Alright, I am not able to spot him at the moment. Oh, there he is. Alright, let's go ahead and wait a little bit until his tank is merely exposed. Well, the 2.6A version 4 gets cleared. That's really good. Let's go ahead and continue moseying on forward then over to this YAG, unless that the 183 off to the side is spotted, which it looks like that he is. Yep, he is. Alright, there's 1 tap into the 183, there's 2 taps into the 183, and there is 3 taps. So when this gun decides to want to hit shells directly to where you're aiming at is where the first gun, or the 3-shell magazine, can be quite a very deadly gun at that. So, we got the 183 again. Let's see if he's going to poke, which he does. There we go. We get a nice clear into him. So let's go ahead and reload the clip and wait upon this YAG's terms to see if we can spot him even more. You know what? We're actually going to move on upwards right behind him over here. Let's go ahead and activate our shell reload boost at that towards this enemy YAG right there. They're going to get 1 shell into him. Alright, so it looks like he's moseying on down for the time being. That is totally okay. Let's go ahead and continue moving on forward then over to the YAG. Let's get a 2nd shell into him, and let's also get a 3rd shell. And that is another 900 damage brought out of his vehicle. Alright, so the YAG is reloading, so that gives me the opportunity, as we will have the chance to dump the last shell before he can get a chance to reload me. There's 1 shell into him. Let's go ahead and guarantee the pen with the 2nd one by running the heats, and there we go. That is where the first gun becomes extremely deadly, is when you are able to hit all 3 of the shells, combined with that very solid accuracy that this gun carries too. And that is a very solid first game at that, demonstrating the M6 YOH to the best that I can, along with using the hold down capability slightly to my mere advantage, which gave us 3,712 damage, destroying 2 in the process, pulling out a 2nd class, and doing top on the team while at it. So let us go ahead and move onward towards the 2nd gun right here, with slightly worse DPM, slightly worse aiming time. Let's go ahead and resupply our vehicle right here. Let's go ahead and run 16. Alright, and let's go ahead and mosey on through and see how we can fare well using the 2nd gun. However, the thing that kind of takes a mere advantage over from the 2nd gun compared to the 1st gun is that the shell reload boost between the intra-clips is nearly quicker, to a point to where you can dump out like 9 to 1,000 damage into your enemies slightly quicker than what it is with the 3rd gun. Don't get me wrong, I love the 1st gun, but... and I do kind of relate it to the 2nd gun at that too. But I got to admit, they're really similar in their both ways. But like I said, it's based upon personal preference, between which route that you want to go to in terms of both of these guns that are present on this vehicle. So anyways, let's go ahead and get into our 2nd game here. This is going to be the last game for the video, unfortunately enough. I could have done more, but I do not have time at the moment to get more footage in for you guys, unfortunately enough. So let's go ahead and mosey on through and use our hold down capabilities right along over here, unless if they have one of their tanks spotted off in the back. So let's go ahead and point ourselves up right over here, unless if they got somebody that's gonna potentially try to mosey on through right over there. Like, we got the 4202 already right there, and there's 2 solid taps for 895 damage into his vehicle. We also got the 92E1 spotted off to the side right there. We got the Kron off in the back. Let's go ahead and reload our clip once again. Let's see, we got the 92E1 right there. Looks like that he is going to poke, but I'm not able to get a tap into him at the moment, unfortunately enough. So, let's go ahead and see if he's going to poke again. It looks like that he might. Maybe, just maybe. So let's wait on here for this 92E1 to poke. Yep, and he does. And there we go. And we do get the clear into a potential threat at that. And it was worth taking the hit from him, which is totally fine. So we're just going to remain put right here for the time being and wait for our shell to reload once again. All right, we got the Kron out in the open, so we're just going to stay put right here. Let's see, 3, 2, 1. All right, Grill, let's go ahead and let you take another shot at him. We also got the Minnow off to the side as well. Unfortunately, he does get clear, but we also got the Kron moseying on up. Let's activate our shell reload boost and get 1 shell. And there we go, 888 damage taken out of his vehicle. And that is where the double shot YOH gun becomes extremely effective, is that you're able to dump both of your shells out much faster and get very high damage outputs at that too with this gun. Alright, so we're reloading once again. Let's see if we can get a clear into this 183 for that matter. Alright, let's go ahead and mosey on through over here. We got the 57 heavy. Alright, oh, the 752 is out in the open, but that's totally fine. Let's go ahead and reload our clip then. Alright, let's go ahead and mosey right behind here just in case. I do not want to get hit by a minnow today. Alright, so reloading. 3, 2, 1. Alright, come on, you son of a gun. Alright, there's the minnow. Let's go ahead and... Alright, not spot him for the time being, but we got the 752 off to the side. I do want to be very cautious in case if this minnow decides to want to poke me. So let's go ahead and back on up just a little bit just to make sure. Alright, let's go ahead and get 1 shell into him, and unfortunately missed the second one. Well, since this gun, however, does have slightly worse aiming time at that, some of your shells are just going to fly all over the place in that regard. So anyways, looks like the minnow is going to be moseying on over towards that side. So we do have another opportunity too. Alright, we got the minnow. The side of his turret is exposed at that. Let's go ahead and get 1 tap into him, and let's get... just barely missed the shell, but that's totally fine. Alright, so let's go ahead and mosey on through. I do not feel like getting hit by the 752 at that. Let's see what else they got. Where is their T-57 at? That is something I would be highly aware of wanting to know. Well, he's back over there. Alright, so I think... where did my SDI go? Which is crazy. Alright, and we bounced the side of him, which is unfortunate, but there's another nice tap into him. Alright. Unfortunately, we are not going to win this battle, so we're going to try to see how much we can fare well in terms of this gun right here. Alright, so we're just going to go ahead and wait right along here. Alright, looks like the 752 is going to try to tunnel me to the best that he can. I really want to get the clear into that 57 heavy at the moment, and he does hit that, or the minnow at that too. So let's go ahead and get 1 shell into him, and let's get the 2nd shell into him. Well, there's 728 damage brought out of his vehicle, but it's unfortunately enough that we are not going to be able to survive this much longer. Alright, let's go ahead and back on up. I do not want to get hit by the minnow, and unfortunately enough. Well, we did demonstrate the gun to the best that we can, and it was not the M6 YOH's fault at that. I just had a very bad team. But it just goes to show that both of these guns are extremely hard hitters, and for the fact that you can dump out some very solid damage outputs with both of them. It doesn't really matter how many shells that you have in the interclip as long as you hit all your shells into your enemies. Well, this one we were able to surpass 4,500 damage at that. Of course, you top on the team, and what a team this was in that regards. So anyways, that's pretty much all there is to it that comes to the M6 YOH. It is a very solid hold down heavy, but for the fact that it has very tall hatches and can be slightly overmatched for that matter, it doesn't really honestly matter at this point. But like I said, it's based upon personal preference, deciding whichever route that you want to go in terms of the 2 guns. But that is what makes the M6 YOH a very deadly auto-reloading clip at that. or deadly auto reloader at that in this game. So hopefully you guys did end up enjoying today's video, and if you did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, and make sure to turn on those bell notifications while at it so you don't miss out on any new videos, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Peace out, y'all.